Welcome back everyone. Despite coming off a 3-game winning streak, a group of fans are pushing the panic button again after a defeat to Sacramento, and with every defeat will ultimately come the trade machine. Now, there is typically little to no truth behind the trades, but this time there does appear to be, and the main target behind those hypothetical trades happens to be Zach Lavine, a long-term member of the future Laker list. However, will it really end up happening? Or could it even happen to begin with? We will talk about that, along with my takeaways from their game last night during today's video. Before we get into it though, I would like to invite you to check out our NBA Discord. If you enjoy having NBA or Laker related discussion, being updated on NBA news, or chatting with other NBA fans during live games, then I guarantee you would enjoy it. Or if you don't have Discord, then feel free to follow me on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it to hear my thoughts on everything NBA related. There will be a link for both of them in the video description down below. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we'll begin by talking about the trade reports, which have primarily been hyped up by Jovan Buha of The Athletic. According to him, the Lakers have quote-unquote real interest in Zach Lavine at the right price. Additionally, he also notes they could have interest in DeMar DeRozan, along with former Laker Alex Caruso, though the primary focus here happens to be Zach Lavine. I mean, he's now reported on this following each of the Lakers' past 2 defeats, so it could just be for timing, or there really might be something here, all of which will depend on the future of the Chicago Bulls. At this very moment, they're sitting at a record of 4-8, and really without any clear direction to go along with it. They're not good enough to be a clear-cut playoff team, but they're also not bad enough to be a for-sure lottery team. Pretty much the worst situation you could be in as an NBA team. Now, I really do feel bad for them, as they truly did appear to be trending in the right direction with a healthy Lonzo Ball, but he unfortunately won't be coming back anytime soon, with it pretty much guaranteed that he'll be missing the entirety of this season. And with that in mind, I don't think there is any way forward for them that does not include blowing it up. I know their front office seems to be in denial of it, but I think it's become pretty obvious at this point. And not only that, but many believe that Zach Lavine himself would like to be traded, who, if you were not aware, happens to be a Clutch Sports client owned by Rich Paul, best friend to current Laker LeBron James, which is really where a lot of this Laker trade talk is coming from. But in addition to that, Zach Lavine played college at UCLA, and then has even talked about wanting to play with guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis before.
You know, everybody wants to play with the best players in the world. You know, I would love to go out there and play with a dude like LeBron James, but you're not going to get those type of opportunities, I don't think.
Unless you wind up on the Lakers, that's right.
You know, and things like that. But, man, you know, I'll play.
Now, we are talking about a clip that's a few years old at this point, but again, that's really all it takes for fans to support the idea of it. With that in mind though, let's talk about what it would actually take to acquire him, if it would be worth it, and then when a trade could even happen, as it currently is not possible. I know a lot of NBA fans don't really know about nor care about how contracts work, but you cannot trade a recently signed player for a certain amount of time after signing them, which currently prevents them from making a trade for Zach Lavine, unless they'll be trading LeBron James, that is. Because at this very moment, their only trade eligible players are LeBron James and Max Christie. Everybody else cannot be traded until December 15th at the absolute earliest, and then some cannot be traded until February if they can at all, including Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt. And knowing that, they'll be waiting another month at the bare minimum before even talking about making a trade, which could give Chicago more time to figure things out, or perhaps make a deal with a different team, which is definitely more likely to begin with in my opinion. I mean, I know we always tend to think the Lakers have the best trade package, but there are plenty of teams that could outbid them, and especially if we are talking about making a deal with a team heading towards a rebuild. After all, they have only one tradable first round draft pick to offer, and it's all the way down the line in the year 2029, which won't really help a team that wants to make a quick rebuild. And although you can make an argument that younger players like Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura could be enticing to them, it does not appear the Lakers want to include them, and I don't believe that they should either. Jovan Buha even noted that they are not interested in including Austin Reeves specifically. However, there is no realistic pathway to Zach Lavine without including at least one of them. And not only one of them, but also D'Angelo Russell, along with another smaller contract or two as well. And while there are plenty of fans who want to trade D'Lo at any cost for whatever reason, let's not act like he should simply be a throw-in player here, nor should either Reeves or Hachimura either. And when and if you combine 2 or 3 of them together, along with their only tradable first round draft pick, that is a lot to give up, especially for a guy who's not guaranteed to make their team any better than it currently is. I mean, there is no denying the offensive talent of Zach Lavine, though there is plenty of room to question him on defense, his ability to stay healthy, and then his massive contract going forward. Between Zach Lavine, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, they would take up the team's entire salary cap. And if you remember how difficult it was to improve their team with Westbrook under contract, now factor in the new collective bargaining agreement that comes into full effect next season. And don't get it twisted, they would need to have plenty of help around them too. Again, Zach Lavine is a great offensive player, but he is average at best on defense, has only played over 70 games one time in the past 8 years now, and then will be making over $50 million per year by the end of his current contract. And although it's very early in the season, if you compare him and D'Angelo Russell side by side, there's really not that big of an improvement. In fact, you can argue that D'Lo has been outright better. Sure, he might be averaging 3 fewer points per game, but he's got Lavine beat by a wide margin in shooting efficiency, along with assists per game as well. And then, like I referred to before, Lavine would not be much of an upgrade on defense either. In my opinion, I don't think that Zach Lavine would be a good trade target at all. I mean, I like him as a player, but there's no way around the fact that it would take a lot to acquire him, that he's probably a bit overpaid, and then that simply would not be worth it to begin with. I don't believe you can make a great argument for DeMar DeRozan either. He would have many of the same problems that Lavine would bring, along with being a poor 3-point shooter to go along with it. The only player I'd target from that team would be former Laker Alex Caruso, which is really another conversation entirely. Don't worry, I'm sure we'll get to that one eventually, but let's wrap up today's video by talking about their game last night. I know we like to quickly move on from a loss, but it's important for them to learn from their mistakes. And unfortunately, one of their biggest ones came back to haunt them last night, which happened to be their energy level during the first quarter. They once again got down by double digits, getting down by 20 points by about the 9-minute mark despite cutting it down to 13 before the quarter ended, and that dropped their overall first quarter plus-minus rating back down to a whopping negative 82. I really thought, or rather hoped, they had learned their lesson after watching the way they played during their last game, but it appears that they have not. And again, it really all comes down to their effort. If you watch them play, then I'm sure you noticed how lackadaisical they were at getting back on defense, complaining about foul calls rather than running back, and that's simply not something you can do against a team like Sacramento, who really ran them to the ground during the first half. Not only that though, but their turnover issues came back to haunt them as well. They committed 23 total turnovers in this one, 15 of which came from LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves alone. And for LeBron and Austin Reeves in particular, they really struggled taking care of the ball, with that being especially true for Reeves. He could have very easily had another 2 or 3 turnovers through deflections. And while that was one of their biggest problems, another reoccurring issue happened to be their defensive rebounding. They once again failed to do a good job at boxing out, and then it did not help that Anthony Davis was being hampered by his hip injury. But regardless of that, they need to do a better job at controlling the things that they actually can control, which are once again their effort during the first quarter, their ability to be disciplined on both ends of the court, and then simply taking care of the ball in general. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Zach Lavine trade rumors? And then what were your primary takeaways from their game last night? Comment your thoughts down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.